Hi guys, so in this video, what I'm going to talk about is what happens when a malignant narcissist meets an empath, and a little bit about malignant narcissists and empaths. So malignant narcissists, the term is actually not in the DSM, but it is used a lot in the field of psychology to sort of explain somebody who is on the extreme version of narcissism. They have the same, some of the, the symptoms of paranoia. These people are extremely paranoid. They lie, cheat, and steal, so they think that everyone else does the same thing. They think everyone else is like them. They have very antisocial behaviors. They have a lack of conscience. They have a lack of empathy. They have a lack of remorse. They have an extreme need for control and power and and to appear perfect. Some of the malignant narcissists actually have sadism, which is getting satisfaction in cruelty, getting satisfaction in hurting others. This is sort of mild to severe, right? So it can be, the severe end of that is a serial killer or a gang leader. They have the 9 narc traits: the arrogance, the grandiosity, the preoccupation with money, success, the ideal love, power, beauty, brilliance, just an obsession. They believe that they are very special and above others, and they require an excessive amount of validation and praise. They have, that really strong sense of entitlement. They're exploitative, and they are very envious of others. So they actually get, kind of went over this a little bit, but they actually get joy from the pain and suffering of others, and they willfully inflict suffering on others to gain control and delight. I know it sounds crazy, but and that's sort of on the deeper end of it. But on the mild end, you have emotional and psychological. They enjoy inflicting emotional and psychological pain on their on their victims. They get joy out of sort of covertly shaming others. It could be cyberbullying. It can be this sort of really hidden but subtle way of putting someone down, making them feel less than. It can be, mental abuse, mental sort of torture, but it can be very, very subtle and under the radar, very covert. And on the extreme end, it can be physical violence. The malignant narcissist is calculating in their manipulations. They do this to get others to think of them in a certain way. They're manipulating so that they can keep this certain image up, and they're very careful about what they're presenting to the world. They want, the world to look at them a certain way. They definitely make you feel like you are lucky to be with them. If you're in a relationship with somebody and you feel like you're lucky to be with them, that's actually a red flag. If there's something that they're doing that's making you feel sort of like, oh wow, they're better than you or they're superior, that's not healthy. They are opportunistic, and they see vulnerability, and they absolutely take advantage of it. These people are masters at spotting vulnerability. It's one of the most, so they definitely engage in gaslighting. It's, it's a very calculated manipulation. Gaslighting is actually one of the most harmful forms of mental and emotional abuse. It tears down the person's sense of self who is being subjected to it. It tears down their confidence and their sense of reality. They have a hard time understanding if their reality is real or false because they've been gaslighted so much. The empath is the type of relationship that they want their partner, what they'll think about the narcissist is they'll think their partner is just wonderful and they're flawed. They're the flawed ones. They're lucky to be with that perfect person. When the narcissist is demeaning and degrading, they see it as sort of warranted and justified. They take on that criticism. And if they think in their minds, if I could only work at being a little bit more perfect, then finally that person will be satisfied or happy. So again, gaslighting, it makes you feel like you're crazy. You feel substandard. And the narcissists, when they tell you what's wrong or they correct you, they're, this sort of mind bending. They're brainwashing you, and they tend to take away your sense of reality. So the empath in the relationship is often the identified patient. Again, gaslighting is one of the most confusing and disoriented. It's one of the most disorienting things that a person can experience. The victim, the more the victim is gaslighted, the more they give up their control to believe that the narcissist's version of reality is the reality. That's what gaslighting does. It is very psychologically torturing. Then the narcissist will often use love bombing. This is overwhelming. It overwhelms the empathetic person in the beginning of the relationship to disarm them and let them put their guard down. It adds confusion and flattery and sort of this air of like, destiny, or you met your soulmate. You feel like you just met, your soulmate, and it can be overwhelming. The empathetic person, they feel that they have this very unique and special bond with the narcissist. And usually the narcissist will say, I've never met anyone like you. You're the one I've been waiting for. You're the love of my life. They say all of these things that are very calculated and very manipulative, but it makes the empath connect to them. So, so the empath will often believe that there's something really wonderful, it's special and particularly good about this new relationship. It's a whirlwind of excitement. The narcissist is just making them feel like there's nothing they can do wrong. They're up on this pedestal. And all of these, even though the empath believes that they're real and feels and thinks that they're real, they're actually all very calculated acts of manipulation by the narcissist. And what they're designed to do is take away the free will of the empathetic person without them even realizing it. As this goes along, the empath gets more and more impaired because of the mix of gaslighting and love bombing. And again, the narcissists they don't have any moral compass or moral code. So, they're very antisocial. That means that they do things that hurt other people. They lie, they cheat, they steal. They are also hypersensitive to criticism, and they have this very fragile sense of self, and they cannot take any criticism. We've already gone over some of these, but they cannot apologize. And remember, they have that paranoia, so they have this massive lack of trust. They don't trust anyone. Because they lie, cheat, steal, and manipulate, and that they're always doing that. They're always hustling. They think everyone else does that too. They tend to be very, very envious and jealous. This can be very hidden, especially in the covert narcissist. They are very envious of anyone that is better looking than them, or has more money than them, or has a nicer house than them. And they lack empathy. They all lack empathy to some degree, but this is a spectrum. The narcissist will tend to invalidate and ignore any emotions shown by others. They do not have empathy. So if you show any emotions, they're going to ignore or invalidate. They can't feel empathy. They don't feel any remorse. They might apologize occasionally, but they're not really sorry. The only reason they will apologize is performatively, and they're only upset because they got caught. Again, they do not have that moral compass. And their apology will often be something like this: I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'm sorry that you're having that experience. I'm sorry that things turned out the way they did. So they have a complete failure to accept responsibility for anything they do. If they get caught, they're going to manipulate and they're going to turn it back on you. If they got caught for cheating, they are going to figure out a way to make it your fault. They cheated on you, but somehow you're to blame. They deny responsibility of any hurt that they cause you at all. Now, occasionally, a narcissist will pretend to have responsibility for harm they caused you when they're talking to their cohorts, their affair partner, or their flying monkeys, but they're only doing that performatively, and they would never humble themselves enough to actually go to the person that they hurt and apologize. This is all manipulation and performative. They have this huge need for attention, and with the coverts, it can be very, very hidden, but they need to feel powerful. They need to feel important. So it's going to get fed by either negative or positive attention. These people have delusions of grandeur. They have this inflated sense of self. They believe that they are more attractive. They are smarter. They're more successful. They're above others. They are superior. You are inferior. And again, they're very entitled. They consider themselves, they're better. and they expect to be treated as such. They, the rules do not apply to them, and they are the king, so you need, or queen, so you need to treat them in that way. They're very shallow, and they get consumed with envy. Again, if anyone has anything that they deem is better than them, and they're always comparing other people's outsides to their insides, which is a crazy thing to do. They're very egocentric. They act for their own benefit, and they do not care who they hurt. They actually see their beliefs as true fact. In their mind, they believe that what they think is the facts. And because of that, you cannot negotiate with them. It's their way or the highway. They're right, you're wrong. That's just how it is. So they're unable to negotiate like normal people. And they have this, of course, they're quite pathological, but they have this charm, and they can really turn on that charm. It's very superficial, it's very purposeful, but they're able to charm the pants off you. And sometimes it's in a very sweet, vulnerable, innocent way, not necessarily in this sort of overt, gregarious way. Now, empathetic people, in contrast, the reason why narcissists are attracted to empathetic people, and the reason why this happens, is because empaths believe in the best in others. They see all the good in others, and they deeply empathize with others, so they can't even understand another's lack of empathy. They just don't even get it. They're so deeply connected to other people's feelings. They also value relationships, and they want to feel important to others. They want to feel, like they're valuable to others. So they're very susceptible to the charms of the narcissist. They want to be there for others, and they're happy to shower praise and love and adoration on the narc. And they also feel very terrible when they hurt others. Narcissists don't, right? They don't have that horrible feeling when they hurt others, but empaths do. They feel really bad. So they try to correct it as soon as they've hurt somebody. They're very sensitive to it. And the narc can easily manipulate them back into their control. And they can do this by showing hurt, having this, or showing fear of abandonment, like, please don't leave me. They can do it by manipulating the empath. As soon as the empath feels that they've hurt the narcissist, then they're likely to get drawn and sucked back into that dance. And this will get the empath almost every time. Empaths need a purpose. They don't really understand superficial connections or shallow relationships. They just don't see the point. I mean, these are people that put a lot into relationships. They're deeply caring. They feel other people's emotions. And then the narcissist needs to have his fragile ego bolstered, right? And the empath wants everyone to be happy and feel good about themselves. So they're constantly willing to bolster the narcissist's ego. So it's this match made in hell. Then the narcissist will lie, cheat, and steal. And then, even then, the empath wants to believe the best in others. So a lot of times it's really hard for them to see the truth. So you see in this way why they're going to be this attraction, why they're the perfect fit. And of course, a relationship with a narcissist is going to lead the empath into falling into depression, anxiety. It will break them down. It breaks down their sense of self. Eventually, their sense of self can get destroyed. Their sense of self-worth just goes out the door. They're chipped down by this narcissist. And they can actually be at serious risk. Empaths can be at serious risk for substance abuse or, all sorts of, maladaptive behaviors because they've been, broken down so much by the narcissist. And these are very sensitive, kind people, most of them, So here's some advice. So based on what I just read, and do you understand why a narcissist is going to be attracted to an empath? Here's the giver, the taker with the giver. They're going to be attracted. So as an empath, it's very important that you know that you are going to be a target for narcissists, okay? You are. That they're just going to find you. They're going to find you and sniff you out like you're, a bleeding little fish in the water and the shark smells your blood. So how can you prevent this? How can you prevent yourself from getting into a relationship with a narcissist or a psychological manipulator? Well, the first thing that you need to do is to keep your higher mind, your higher brain working when you are engaging with others, when you're first meeting others. Keep your rational brain working. Yes, you are deeply empathetic. Yes, you have this giant heart, but you're going to have to stifle that a little bit when you're first meeting people and just, I'm not saying you shouldn't live an open-hearted existence. I'm saying keep it under the wraps until you see what people are made of and use your rational higher mind. Look more deeply into people. Notice if they're showing signs of greed, if they're showing signs of selfishness, of sadism, of vindictiveness, if they're showing signs of manipulation, of vagueness, of withholding of, communication, or affection, see how they treat other people. Like, do these people have long-term, deeply connected, emotionally intimate relationships with others? And if they don't, then these are all red flags. Notice if somebody, notice how they respond to no. Notice how they, respond to criticism or feedback. Are these people that can easily take some criticism and feedback? And are these people that are helping others, or are they just very selfish? And for the empath, helping others should absolutely be a part of your life. It should be in your work. It should be in, if you volunteer, it should be in how you help others. But in your primary relationship, it should not be that way. It should be reciprocal. It should be a place where you can go and get filled up, that's safe, that's nurturing, that feeds you, that provides refuge, a safe place, joy, acceptance, love, and partnership, and somebody who's feeding you, not sucking you dry. And it should be with someone where you can share empathy with another deeply empathetic person. So if you're finding that you're getting into a relationship and it's like a project and you're trying to, you see the potential in somebody, so you're going to try to get them to meet their potential, and you're going to try to teach them about, how to live an open-hearted way. No, anytime that you are trying to explain to a grown-ass adult how the basics of human decency, the basics of giving and not being greedy and not being so selfish and, thinking about others, if you are having to explain that like you would to a toddler, that is a huge red flag. You should not have to teach somebody how to be a decent human being. This is not a grown-up. No way. So, empaths, use your rational mind. Have your friends meet that person. Ask their true opinions. Tell that person no. Try to set some boundaries. See how they react. Watch. Are these people giving, caring? How are their other relationships? These are all very, very important things to notice when you're in a relationship. And, is there love bombing? Is it too much too soon? Are they telling you they love you right away? Are they future faking? Are they talking about marriage or all these things like right away before they even know you? If anybody's telling you that they love you and they don't know you, that's a red flag. Love takes time. And what are they loving? A fantasy of this fantasy movie projector that they've projected onto you. That's not love. So these are just some things to notice. And I really think, engaging your higher brain, your higher mind, instead of regressing into that purely, I shouldn't say regressing, but being in that purely empathetic feeling state. You've got to keep your rational brain on when you're meeting people and use discernment and figure out if they really are, kind, good, giving, loving, empathetic people. Are these people that have empathy? So thank you so much, you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.